Next chapter that we will discuss is modeling techniques. In this chapter, we will be discussing about some important modeling techniques that will be used to create better designs. Ansys Design Modeler is a fully parametric modeling system in which we have a parameters tool over here which can be used to assign some relations to the dimensions. These relations will help us to control the design as and when required. So in this chapter, we will be discussing about parameters, how to import models from other CAD softwares, and also how to create surface and line models. So let us start with parameters. Parameters is nothing but whenever you are creating a design in Design Modeler, if there can be some relations added to the dimensions, we will use the parameters tool to add these relations. If I use these relations, what happens is I can control the design in a much better manner by the use of these parameters. Now, how will we create these parameters and how will we add these relations? We will understand that with a simple example. In this case, what we are going to do is we are going to create this model, and these are the dimensions that we have to assign to this model. So let us start creating this model. I will add one geometry system over here and I will enter into the design modeler. Set your unit system as required. According to that diagram that we saw, it is into millimeters. So I have set my dimensions as millimeters. I will select the XY plane and enter into the sketching tab. Once I come over here, I will start creating my design. I'll create a circle first. And after creating the circle, I'll add the dimensions to it. Then I'll add the distance between the two circles. I change this distance to 158. This dia over here is 20. And this dia over here is 10. After that, I'll add one symmetry constraint. Between the two circles. After that, I'm going to draw two lines. This is my first line. And after drawing this first line, I'm going to paste this line on the opposite side. That means I'm going to mirror this line. Okay. After mirroring this line, I'll again go back to dimensions and give the dimensions between these two. And this dimension is 22 units. And then I'll add one symmetry constraint between the two lines. After that, I'm going to add two more circles. Then I'm going to trim whatever is not needed. So I'm going to trim this line. And this line over here. And then this circle. After that, I will again give dimensions to the circles over here. And then I'm going to change their values. So with this is my sketch which has been completed, which is a fully parametric sketch. After this, I'll come out into the modeling tab and then I'm going to add some depth to this sketch. So the depth is 12 units. So this is the model that is generated. So now imagine if I need to change any of the dimension over here, I will have to again come into the sketching tab and then change the dimensions. Now let us assume that this connecting rod that I have created has some relations to it. Means the dimensions are interrelated to one another. Now in that case, what we can do is, I can have one controlling dimension over here which will control all the other dimensions. In this case, what we will do is, we will keep the length, that is, we will keep this dimension L20 the controlling dimensions for all the other dimensions, according to which, now see, we will rename the dimensions first like this, and then we will give some parameters. We will assign these parameters to our design. So let us come back to design modeler. Okay. Now if you want to control these dimensions according to the parameters, the first thing that you need to do is, you need to make these dimensions as driven dimensions. So can you see this checkbox over here? You need to add this checkbox so that it becomes a driven dimension. Now whenever you make a dimension as a driven dimension, a dialog box appears over here and it shows the name of that dimension. The name of the dimension always appears as the datum plane name first, on which datum plane you have created the dimension, dot the dimension name. Now this can be very confusing if you have lot of dimensions in the design. So it is always better that you rename these dimensions. So now what I am going to do is, I am going to rename them as per my requirements or as per you think. So I will call this as left hand side inner diameter, that is LHID. Okay. Then I will call this as right hand side inner diameter. This is my length, so I will call this as my length. Okay. Then this is my width. Okay. This is my left hand side outer it is not a diameter, it is a radius, but still I am writing it as OD. And this over here is my right hand side OD. So I have made all the dimensions as driven dimensions. After that, I come back to the modeling tab. I click on this extrude. Even the depth, I want to control the depth of the model according to the length. So again, this depth I'll make it as driven, and I will write this is my thickness. Okay. So with this, what I have done is, I have added all the dimensions as driven dimensions so that they get added in my parameters tab. After that, you can click over here in the parameters tab in the toolbar, or else you can come to tools and you can click over here, either of the options. As soon as you click on the parameters tab, you will get one window over here just below your model view and print view, where all the names will appear and their values will appear. In the design parameters, you will get this information, and over here parameter dimension assignments, you can write your relationships, how and with whom you want to control the dimensions. So now what we are going to do is, as discussed, we are going to control all the dimension according to the length. So the length will be the controlling dimension in this design. So thickness, I'm going to add the relation for the thickness. I will say that the thickness is going to be length divided by 13.16. RHOD, that is the right hand side diameter, OD, is going to be length divided by 12.15. I have calculated these values, and now I'm writing these values. The left hand side OD is length divided by 7.9. Then the width is equal to length divided by 7.18. Length is equal to the length. I'm not going to change that because that is my controlling dimension. RHID, that is the right hand side inner diameter, is length divided by 15.8, and the LHID is going to be length divided by 8.32. When you come to the check values, you will see all the values change. Now what we need to do is, as my length is my controlling factor, let us say if I change my length to 125 units, you will see all the other values will change according to 125, and when I say generate, I'll get a new design. If I say that this is 250, the entire model will change and you will get a new model. I don't have to sit and change all the other dimensions because I have given some parameters over here with the help of which I change the length and all the other dimensions change according to the length because of these parameters that I have assigned. Okay, so this is how you can use the parameters and assign the parameters to your design. Once the parameters are assigned, you can close the design modeler and you will see that a parameter set is associated with this cell. So I can also click on this parameter set to change my dimensions over here. You can also change your dimensions over here and come back. So if I say that this has to be 120, you will see that a refresh button appears over here. So I can say right click and refresh. So it will get refreshed, and if you again reopen your model, you will get the new design as 120 units. If you see, it is going to be 120. So you can see that the parameter set will help you to understand or to control your design in a much better manner by the use of the parameters where you can assign the relationships.